right? That who you are now has some golden thread attaching you to your 13-year-old self, which is really weird because your body every cell is turned over many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
You've changed in all sorts of ways. But this continuity is really important to us. And, the Buddhists think the self is an illusion. And I interviewed a couple of them. Mathieu Ricard is a French Nepalese monk in his 80s who lives in Nepal. And he's written some really interesting things on the self. And I said, I'm really curious about how you can find out for yourself whether the self is real. And famously, there was a philosopher in the 18th century, David Hume, who wanted to write about the self. And he thought, well, I'm going to introspect to see what I can learn about the self. And he goes into his mind, in a kind of meditation. And he said, I found all sorts of perceptions and feelings and thoughts, but I didn't find a thinker, I didn't find a perceiver, and I didn't find a feeler. There's like nobody home. And it's a really interesting exercise to do because you will find there's nobody home. There's just the thoughts. And who's thinking them? Not clear. And anyway, so this Buddhist monk said, are there any meditations that help with this? And he said, yeah. And he gave me one. And he says, think of your mind as a house with many rooms. And there's a thief somewhere in the house. And go room by room in your head and look for the thief. And you will find no thief. And then sit with that finding. And that thief is the self. And so I did it twice. The first time I did it...
Why does the self have to be a thief?
I don't know. It's just a metaphor. I don't know, because he's a negative take on the thief.
You run around with a baseball bat? Do you have a gun? Like, you're looking for someone in your house? That's kind of crazy.
I know. You're not armed. Anyway, so the first time I did it, this is kind of weird. I was interviewing this hypnotist at Stanford named David Spiegel, and he's a psychiatrist who uses hypnotism. Really interesting guy. And he uses hypnotism to help people with multiple personality disorders. He can actually make them change which person they're accessing. These are people whose consciousness contains, it could be 20 different people. And I said, could we do a test? And can you put me under, hypnotize me? And then I wanted to do that exercise of going through the house. So he did. First thing he does is, I don't know have you ever been hypnotized?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, for giving up cigarettes or something?
No, I have a friend who is my friend Vinny Shorman. He is a mental coach and a hypnotist. He works with fighters.
Oh,
and
okay.
I had him on the